it was at that point I just was asking God, how are people able to grieve properly, right, and handle their affairs? And he just said, well, you're going to be the ones to make sure you're going to be the one to make sure that they're able to do that, because with that, my family, we were taken advantage of by the funeral home because we didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right?
We are very interested in everything that you're doing. You actually seem to be a woman that wears many hats, in fact. So specifically for our audience's sake, you're a grief counselor, an author, an insurance agent, and an advocate. So in your own words, what do you believe ties all these professions together?
I believe loss ties them all together. They all, in their own different ways. I never heard it that way, but loss ties them all together.
Oh, wow. Would you like to go deeper into that? Perhaps tell us more about your advocate work?
Well, so First 24 Bereavement Concierge Services is the business that I founded, that God gave me after I experienced loss. And so with that, I am the advocate. The company, First 24, we are the advocate for the family. So, you could think of it as a liaison or a support, right? Because we don't just help you with the funeral planning, but we help you throughout the whole process and even after that, because that's when life really happens. So we're your advocate to make sure that everything is being handled properly, because you are grieving. You're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking logically. And so you need an advocate to speak for you. Like I've heard a lot of times people say that they're advocates for their children, right? Because if they're young, they don't really know what to say or what to do all the time because they're young. They don't know. So I equate myself the same way, to be that that person for the families to go to and to handle their affairs, because they are grieving and they're not able to do it and cope with the loss well.
Excellent. Well, we do love to hear that. But, when little kids are asking kindergarten, what do you want to be when you grow up? They normally, answer fireman and astronaut. Was your first idea a grief counselor, and how did you end up in your field? Well, I guess you talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely not. I had nothing. When I was young, and I even remember when I was in 6th grade, I wanted to be like a fashion designer. And here's the caveat: I hate shopping. I love clothes and stuff, but just like going to stores, it overwhelms me. So that's me. But I came into this not until my adulthood. All along, I was doing it. I was helping people. People were just talking to me about different things and felt very comfortable with me and felt a peace. And so once I experienced the loss, right, that's when, I saw myself, when my family experienced the loss unexpectedly, because we're a big family, we're very close, and we were just having back-to-back deaths. It was crazy. I had family members that I lost out of state, so we had to fly their bodies back, find it out that way. And, my aunts, they were depending on me to help, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. And it was at that point I just was asking God, how are people able to grieve properly, right, and handle their affairs? And he just said, well, you're going to be the ones to make sure that they're able to do that, because with that, my family, we were taken advantage of by the funeral home because we didn't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? And so a lot of things they fell through the cracks, unfortunately, and we made some rash decisions because we were just not in a good place. And so that's when, God was telling me that you're going to be the one to help these families to make sure they are properly cared for, not taken advantage of, and that their affairs are handled. So it came from my loss, and I love what I do. I have such a passion and drive for people who have lost a loved one, who are dealing with loss and grief.
Let's talk about that funeral home thing that you mentioned. So I actually personally worked at a funeral home for about 3 to 4 months. And so I understand what you're talking about. I won't name drop the funeral home, but
right.
One of the ones that'll charge you like $100K, and that'll just be for the casket. So again, and while I was there, I'm not much of a consumerist or a capitalist, but, for me, I found relief in making my time there a kind of spiritual experience. Does spirituality play any part in your work? And it seems like it does, since you've name dropped God a lot.
Absolutely. God is everything to me. That is why I'm here. That is how my business is run, how it came to me. I would have never thought of this. Like, if I knew about me then, I would have hired me, right? A service that will help you with, be your advocate, be your liaison, and you don't have to worry about anything. You just show up. that's a win-win for me, right? And so, yes, spirituality is very important to me. God is first in my life, and everything I do, all the moves I make, I go to Him first, and that's how I get strategy. That's how I'm always praying for additional products and service to help people that are dealing with grief, because they do feel forgotten about. So yeah, it plays a huge part in everything I do.
Nice, very nice. But, compared to other people in your field, what unique struggles would you say you faced to get where you are today? I know as a person of color, we have to work probably 10 to 20 times harder than anyone else just to get the recognition. So have you found anything to be difficult in that perspective, or perhaps in another one I'm not mentioning?
Well, death is not sexy. So a lot of times, even though my clientele, a lot of it is word of mouth, the marketing piece of it, because with helping with the loss afterwards, we do help you prepare for it. So essentially, we do help you prepare for death, and in that, we just want to make sure you have, your life insurance, your last will and testament, health directives, things like that. So in the event that something does happen, because it will, that's just what it is, right? Your family's prepared, because you're not going to be here. They are. And so a lot of times people are, especially the older baby boomers, they're like, you're trying to kill me off. They are resistant to it. And, the young ones, they're just like, well, I don't have to worry about that. I've got all my life, right? YOLO. But I still have all my life, even though you only live once. And so the marketing piece of it, and getting people to understand the fact that it's not about you, it's about who you're leaving here, who's going to be here when you're no longer here. That is a little bit challenging. But I think people are getting a rude awakening because of the pandemic, right? And people are seeing that death is happening all types of ages, all colors, all creeds, all nationalities, in every sense of the word. And so I think people are softening up to that, but that's been my biggest challenge.
Excellent. Let's talk about that marketing you mentioned. So do you ever Google yourself? Do you like what you see?
You know what? I haven't Googled myself.
Oh,
I have not Googled myself. Yeah, I have not Googled myself, but I think I'll do that when we get off here.
Yeah, definitely. And you can follow up and let us know if everything checks and if you like everything that's mentioned about you, because, I Google searched you before the interview, and honestly, I was just impressed. But going into that, it's easy to categorize you as a Renaissance woman, but I feel that people are much more multifaceted than one label. How would you describe yourself? Like, what are the search results on Google that you would find ideal about yourself?
Dependable, reliable, professional. I'm a no nonsense type of a straight shooter. Because I just like to be forward with people, and I don't like to sugarcoat things. So I would say straightforward, also caring, kind, compassionate, and dependable. Absolutely.
Great. So would you say that's the reason you keep attracting new clients, or is there something else that's like a missing ingredient that we haven't mentioned?
No, I would definitely say it's the love of God that I exude, and that's what I pray for all the time, that especially when families who have lost someone come in contact with me, with anything I say, anything I post, anything you hear, if I'm on a podcast, that they feel a sense of comfort, that they feel a sense of safety, because and ultimately they are trusting me during one of the most devastating times in their lives. And so that is what I would say in regards to that. And my clients are my family. So once we sign up, they are my family. And so that's why I stay in contact with them too, because it doesn't just go away like that after the funeral, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years. That's not how loss works. And so, that is always my prayer, that they feel that. And I believe that they do upon speaking with me.
Excellent. And what about your real family? I'm assuming, since they're so closely tied, or rather your experiences with them are so closely tied in what you do, would you say they're very supportive?
Oh yeah, they are. They're definitely supportive. They know, of course, someone passes away, they contact me, and we go through what we have to do. But yeah, they're very supportive.
Excellent. And a lot of your answers are emanating a kind of confidence that's really impressive. But do you ever feel like imposter syndrome in your position? Is there ever a time where you doubt yourself?
Oh yes, yes. And I have a workbook that I wrote for people who may just want to handle the planning on their own. So some people are just, they feel like they can do it on their own. That's fine. I have a workbook for that. Or you can contact us. So when someone passes away, I'm looking at that book because I can't remember everything, right? Every loss is different. You know, I do doubt myself sometimes, and I'm like, I'm not sure. Excuse me.
Well, it's great to know that you're a little more what your search results give off, because, you know, every time no problem. Every time I Google you, it's just one thing to be impressive after another that our audiences can, it's good to know our audiences can now connect you, because, you know, you're human too, even though you have a profession and a calling that's probably something most people wouldn't be comfortable or feel capable of doing.
Yeah. So doubt does come, definitely.
Definitely, and you know, everyone feels that at one point or another. But you
Yeah.
know, let's talk about some more of your successes. Let's say from 0 to 9,339. How would you rate your own books?
What was the number? 0 to what?
0 to 9,000.
8999.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What's keeping it from that perfect 9,000? Is that just your humility speaking, or?
Yes, it is my humility speaking. Because I understand everything's not for everybody. I'm not perfect by any means, and so you may not identify with the books that I've written, and that's completely fine. So that's why I say that.
Excellent. Do you have any upcoming projects in the authorship world? Are there any books that your readers should want to look out for?
I am praying about that right now. Right now, you know, I have Here's to Hope, which is a 3rd day devotional to bring healing while grieving. I'm thinking about a sequel, but I'm not sure yet. I just really want to know, and praying and doing my research as to what it is people really need right now, what kind of healing it is that they need. I don't want to just write something just to write it, just to have it out there. I wanted to really speak to people and really help them during their journey of loss and grief, because we grieve different things. There is physical loss of someone no longer being here, but we grieve relationships, divorce, right? Lost partnerships, a job, a career, identity, right? So there's so many different things that we do grieve and we put on the back burner because we feel like, oh, that I'm not grieving, it's just a phase. And so I want to speak to that as well. So that's in the works right now. I'm just praying to see what exactly I'm going to do, but it won't be long. I'm going to know this year. So.
Excellent. So it seems like your way of consulting, or rather brainstorming for your new ideas or business direction, comes from your praying. Is that a form of meditation for you? Do you find yourself having your eureka moments? Can you tell us more about that?
A few things that I do, you know, I go to God, just talking to him like I'm talking to you.
Nice.
Sometimes I just sit still, and in the morning, especially in the mornings, I just sit down, I ask him specific questions about my business, questions that I have, and I just wait for the answer. And or sometimes I'll just sit there and just be still, and just whatever he's saying to me, I just write it out.
Does he speak to you with like perhaps your own voice in your head, or do you get little messages throughout your life?
It's an audible voice, or it could be in a dream the night before, or it could be in a vision that I'm seeing. So it all depends.
Oh, wow, that's a great form of divination. I think it reminds me of the story of Joseph, if anything. But let's see, it seems that you have very close ties to Newark. I believe that's where you grew up. Is there anything about the city that calls to you, or do you see a great need for your services there?
Well, I'm actually in South Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, Newark is North Jersey. My good girlfriend lives there, but I'm in South Jersey. So that's where my ties come from, because that's where I was born and raised. And I still live here. I did go to school in Maryland, but something about Jersey, and I'm close to my family. And so that's why I came back.
Okay, so you're definitely staying there mostly to be close to your family. It's not like that you see that there's a great need for grief counselors in the South Jersey area, or perhaps there is.
There are need for them all over. The way people are passing away, and just in every state, in every country, everywhere. So they're needed everywhere, honestly. And you know, it doesn't, and I don't just service Jersey. You know, I don't limit myself to that, because, you know, a lot of things are virtual. And also I've gone to different places and out of state to assist families and to assist people in regards to grief. So.
Oh, wow. Could you tell us more about the locations you visited, or maybe the events you've attended?
Yeah, Maryland, I've gone to Delaware, Virginia, um, Louisiana, um, and Pennsylvania.
Nice. Well, consider going to New York because that's where the funeral homes are doing the most damage.
Mm.
And no name dropping, no name. But so tell us, what's next for you? What do you think your next success story will be?
I just want to create a space for grieving families. I want to create a space where they understand that there is life after loss, and they have, because everyone's different. Not everyone wants to sit around a support group and talk about their loss. To some people that's depressing. So I
Hmm.
want to have a facility and a space for families just to come, be able to grieve, be able to get counseling, get coaching, get whatever it is they need, a place of networking as well, a safe haven for my families. And I've just been praying to God for that. Also, a one-stop shop. I want families to be able to come to me, and that's it. That's all they need. They just come to me. We handle everything for them, the funeral, the repast, everything. And basically what I'm doing now. But with that, I also want to help them prepare, give them literature and knowledge, and bring in professionals, real estate agents, insurance agents, to teach them the importance of preparing for your family and for your future. And so that's where I'm at right now. And that's kind of what I'm I'm praying to collectively put together. Because a lot of times, again, people who have experienced loss do feel forgotten about, and like they can't talk to anybody, and they tried counseling or tried therapy and they don't like it. So I want to give them options, but they stay in the loop with Verse 24 to know that we care and that we're gonna stick this out with you and help you on your healing.
Oh, that's really impressive. So your services are pretty much covering everything. It's not just counseling you and providing a form of therapy, but you also walk people through the funeral process.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is what initially, the company started doing, is helping with the funeral planning. And a lot of people were they didn't understand. They thought that I was a funeral home or funeral director, which I'm not, and do not have a desire to be. We're just, when the funeral home has, they have a job to do, right? They are taking care of the body essentially, right? And talking with the family. But once they're finished their job, that's it, right? And so we are there during that process and to help you with the intricate things that come, because there's so much to do with funerals, right? And so and the funeral home won't do all those things
Mhm.
because they have their job to do. And so we're there to help you with all those things, the repast, the even taking your loved one off of certain documentation, off the phone bill, all of that, helping you sell the house, go through their things, all of those things. So we're helping you, assisting you with those things, and just holding your hand during that process and after the funeral.
Wow. And that's a service that everyone's going to need, but no one ever thinks about.
Absolutely, because I didn't think about it either. And I tell people sometimes to connect it with a wedding coordinator, right? Except it's the opposite, right? So with weddings, you have the place, right? You need somewhere to have the funeral, you need somewhere to have the wedding, you need to eat, music, maybe, what are you going to wear, all of those things still, and people put so much emphasis in that. And then when it comes to the funeral, it's just like, well, whatever, just doesn't matter. And so that is what I'm trying to help people with, and let them know that they can have a beautiful service if they want. The service should reflect that person. And so that's just what we want to do and help them with.
Yeah, that's a great point, honestly. Like, perhaps not everyone will have a wedding, but everyone's gonna have a funeral. So, thinking of it, planning one as the other kind of, formalizes it, but also personalizes and makes it more graspable, I suppose. So that's really great. But as we reach the 30-minute mark, and as we ask all our interviewees, what does true urban culture mean to you?
True urban culture, I believe that it means being true to who you are, being your best authentic self, and we are creative. We're different. We're like, just have a special touch, and so I think all of that together is true urban culture, being who you are. There's only one you, so don't copy anybody. There's only one you who could be you, and doing what you do passionately, unapologetically, and helping the community. That's what that means to me.
Well, that's great. There are no wrong answers to that questions, but some seem to be more correct than others, and yours fall into that latter category. So thank you for that. Well, for our viewers now, you can find this, you probably find this on YouTube, but you most likely will be able to see it on our website. So I want to thank Jennifer Black publicly for allowing True Urban Culture to interview her and for being my first interviewee. So
yay! Thank you, Kenny. Had a great time.